Hey guys, so today I want to do something a little bit different and do a mini series on how to penetrate or damage tanks. Now, this first series I'm going to focus specifically on the tier 8 heavy tanks, starting off with I think the premium tanks, because we all know that these tanks really are, a lot of these tanks anyway, are really too powerful, and I want to be able to give players a guidance on how to destroy these tanks effectively on the battlefield. So without further ado, today we're having a look at the T26E5, the American premium heavy tank at tier 8. Now this does come in also a Patriot variant with all its pretty American, very patriotic colors of it, as indicated by the name Patriot. But this tank is also probably the best tank in the game, besides probably the Nameless, in terms of its ability just to dominate on the battlefield in a really quite unpleasant way. But if we have a look at the collision model here, we can see that the front of its hull has 200mm of frontal armor. If you're looking at this straight on, so it's very well, it's 152mm of frontal armor, but it is sloped very back indeed. Its turret is incredible. It is very American, in that even its cupola is pretty hard to penetrate in most places, and if you shoot at it, you're probably going to bounce because of its odd angles. It's also quite a small tank, so it is quite hard to be able to penetrate this tank, or aim anywhere really at it that you can penetrate, because it is such a small target. And this weak spot, well, what you would think is a weak spot, of course, isn't this machine gun port. It's 203mm of, although flat armor, still 203mm. So if you angle it at all, it becomes quite hard to penetrate the front of this tank. Having said all of that, the lower plate on this tank isn't amazing. It's still really good at 101mm here, but sloped back, and then it's got these two spots of 127mm, so odd armor, but really quite overpowered armor here. But I want to be able to show exactly how to ruin the day of these Patriot drivers, or the T26E5 drivers, by telling them that, hey, your tank isn't as great as you think it is. So overall, we know that the front of this tank is very well armored. The side of this tank, however, is not well armored at all. 76.2mm of flat armor, no spaced armor here like the IS-3 or anything like that, and it's got terrible rear armor. But let's say you're facing this tank from the front. It's going to be a very formidable opponent from the front, especially if it's using its 10 degrees of gun depression. But if you can even get a little bit to the side of this tank, you can try and aim in at this machine gun port here, because it does have only 100mm of armor, which is quite flat at certain places. So if the tank is looking at you from this direction, try and shoot its little machine gun here behind this 200mm of armor, and you should be able to go through, guys. Although if it is angling like that, you can probably shoot through the tracks. However, a lot of it can be absorbed because of this just immense amount of spaced armor. However, also this top plate here, although it is still pretty well armored, does have a good chance of your shell being able to go through, because it's not that great in terms of its angling. But let's say even from this angle, and he's looking at you like this, a lot of this becomes an instant ricochet. You can still try and aim, although it is hard, you can still try and aim for that side and be able to get him. Alternatively, you can load premium rounds, although I really don't like the way the premium rounds work in this game. You can load premium rounds and try and go through that lower plate, because it isn't very effective in terms of its armor, especially if it's angled right at you. Now, if you get behind all the sides of the tank, you're laughing, you'd be able to go through it anywhere. So if you can get the sides and the rear of this tank, do shoot it. Take the opportunity, because it's not good at all. Try and avoid the tracks, because you can still have your shell go underneath the tank or get absorbed by the tracks. But if you can get it even here, shoot at the side in this open area here, not the track, and you will be able to go through. So I hope that does help a little bit, guys. I will make other videos as well on other premium tanks to see how to penetrate them, but for the T26E5, just remember that although the front of the machine gun is not a weak spot, the little area behind it can be. So if you can aim at that, do hit it. Try and hit the sides otherwise, guys. But other than that, happy tanking, guys, and I'll see you on the battlefield.